What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and yes, another E3 video. There's probably going to be several more by the end of the week, but that's kind of beside the point. So, when I watched the Microsoft conference last night, and then obviously it was very late, so I needed to go right to bed. And once I woke up today, I started thinking back on it, and I rewatched one or two of the trailers and one or two of the pieces in there. And it got me thinking back to a video I made pretty recently. I believe it was only a couple of weeks ago, and one on the same topic way, way, way back from a million years ago. And it was all to do with what is the current flavor of the month, if you will, genre of gaming. And the two ones I really put the focus on back then were kind of like 50-50 at the time, and well, we'll get into that now in a minute. So the two main genres that I considered the flavor of the month and the first person shooter of 2015, if you will, because when you look back to first person shooters from say 2006, maybe 2008 till maybe like 2012, 2013, first person shooter was the flavor of the month. Everything and its mother was a first person shooter. There was these games that were never first person shooters before, now being first person shooters. You had games that were just coming out of nowhere that were one shots that were just first person shooters. Anything to capitalize on that. So I theorized that there was two main new aspects of it, that not aspects of first person shooters, but aspects of game genres that were progressively becoming and had become the flavor of the month after first person shooter did. One of them was loot based games. Now I realize first person shooters play a big part with loot based games, because when you look at the likes of Borderlands and Destiny, for example, but it's not limited to a first person shooter. And then, of course, you had open world games. Stuff like Skyrim basically set that mold. GTA 5 really went above and beyond. And from what I hear, Witcher 3 also did a very good job with it. I don't care what anyone says, no, Final Fantasy 15 did not do a good job with an open world. Especially because it released at the end of 2016. So the fad and the trend was already well in effect at that point. And after watching Microsoft's press conference last night, it really drove both of those points home even more. We had some open world games, we had some loot based games, and I suppose technically we can call it we had open world loot based games. Simply because loot based games have to go hand in hand with open world. At least I believe they do. Yeah, we'll say they do. So looking at some of the big heavy hitters last night from the Microsoft conference, both first and third party, as I mentioned, we do have a decent selection when it comes to that style of game, which really reinforces what I was saying previously, that open world sandbox games as well as loot based games are both kind of up there as the current trending in thing. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, everyone, it feels like everyone at least, is trying to capture what Borderlands did. Borderlands 1 made a good foundation, a good blueprint, and then they capitalized on it with Borderlands 2, which basically set the world on fire back in 2012. Of course, ever since then, every company and their mother has been trying to make a successful loot-based game to capitalize on that. Obviously, game development takes 2, 3, 4 years, so 2012, you add 2, 3, 4 years on top of that, you're getting games like The Division, you're getting games like Destiny, you're getting games like, now from what we've seen, Sea of Thieves, you're getting games like Assassin's Creed, I was going to say Unity, Assassin's Creed Origins, you're getting games like Anthem. So the point is, you can see that the trend from the big hot topic from a few years ago is what everyone is still trying to capitalize in on. And yeah, sure, I mean, you can use you could argue that just because one game did it and did it exceptionally well and set the world on fire for it, that, oh, everyone has to copy that. I mean, yes and no. Technically, no, not everyone does have to copy it, but this is the world of business and the world of gaming and marketing, and it's essentially just a copycat scheme for the most part, and we've seen it time and time again. So let's see, Borderlands in 2012 does phenomenal with that kind of thing. everyone else tries to jump in on it within the next couple of years. It makes perfect sense from a business aspect of it. They're trying to capitalize on that. And then you've got games that are going to be just kind of open world. Now, again, same deal with a lot of these. You've got your Assassin's Creed Origins, you've got your Sea of Thieves, you've got your Anthem. Now, of course, how open these open worlds are still remains to be seen, especially with the likes of Anthem, for the simple reason is we know how they how this kind of company deals with this kind of stuff, especially if they really hope they're not trying to capitalize off Activision and Destiny, and more so trying to go with the Gearbox aspect, which will probably do them better. But anyway, that brings me back to Metro Exodus. Now, Metro, for the most part, when you're looking at the two previous games instead of this new third one, is a linear game. It's a very tight linear game. You're basically spending almost the entire game in corridors or streets, so it's always a single linear straight path. There's very little to do in the way of exploration. Don't get me wrong, exploring the actual exploring and progressing is phenomenal in the Metro games, but when you're looking at side content and extra stuff to find hidden off away to the sides, there's practically nothing there in Metro, previously at least anyway. And now we see the new Metro Exodus. So that game, first off, it looks brilliant. We all know, because one of the executive producers, or at least of the game, has come out and said that yes, that footage that we saw last night at the Xbox conference was captured on a PC running the game. Not trying to take away from Xbox, but I'm just saying that it is going to look good, even if we require high-end PCs to make it look good. So the point is, the graphic quality of the game, as well as just the overall quality of the gameplay. Because if you've played any of the two previous Metro games, you know the quality of gameplay is there. The story and the writing is usually pretty good too. So that's all looking pretty promising. And now that we've got the open world sandbox style put into Metro as well, it really drives home that a series that has up to now being so linear, so tight, so focused, is now expanding into an open world game. I mean, that really goes to show you how much of an influence it actually is. Who knows what we'll see from Ubisoft and Sony later tonight. Chances are I don't expect anything too crazy unannounced so far, at least in the veins of what we see here, because creating a large open world game or a huge loot based game is generally left to someone else, basically, from what we've seen so far. They let someone else work on all the details, and they basically just handle the publishing and the infrastructure. And on top of that is, unless they come out with a new IP or something along those lines, most of the first party Sony exclusives or Sony IPs don't really lend themselves well to that style of game. And then you look at Ubisoft. I don't really know what Ubisoft do anymore, because they're Ubisoft and I hate them, but well, it's Ubisoft. They're doing Assassin's Creed Origins. It basically fits into the open world / loot based stuff that I've already covered. So I mean, that's their contribution to it. So genre-wise, what do you think is going to be the next big thing? What do you think is going to drive us to that point? We all know that Zelda has probably cemented the open world exploration aspect in here for another couple of years. It's probably reset the open world side of it as well. Hell, Zelda was one of the games, if you ask me, that was influenced by the severe popularity of sandbox open world style games. Hell, look at Skyrim. Skyrim launched a week. I can't remember if Skyrim launched a week before or the week after Skyward Sword. So they would have used that as Nintendo would have used that as a direct comparison. And well, look what happened with Breath of the Wild. Enough said. So what do you think is the next big thing? What do you think is the current genre flavor of the month? Do you think the loot and shoot / open world, or just open world sandbox, my views on that, do you think they're accurate? Do you think they're inaccurate? Do you think a different one is coming? Do you think a different one is already here? Do you think my ones are just completely wrong? Or what's the deal? Let me know all of that in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the rest of the videos in my channel.